Good morning and welcome, Pick Radio News Hour. Joe Jaquid here on a Wednesday. I hope it finds you well. It is Hump Day, Fed Day. I told you that starting today, we're going to have a lot more activity. We had Microsoft report after the bell yesterday. Not great. Not great from Microsoft, but we did get a bounce today in some chip stocks because NVIDIA is going to be coming up. But some loosening of some restrictions for chips being sold to China, kind of giving a little boost as we wait to see what the Fed does today. We already know what they're going to do. How dovish is it going to be is the question. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And we've got gold up, silver up. You know, gold's back above 24. Matter of fact, 24, 25 an ounce on gold. Silver climbing back towards $29 as Japan last night did what I told you they were going to do. Raised rates, but on top of it, said they're going to raise rates again, and they're going to tail back all of their quantitative easing. They're still doing quantitative easing and trying to support the yen. That kind of got everybody a little bit excited here. And, of course, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, the debt problems exist. We got finalization from the Treasury. Oh, hey, we need to spell another $125 billion to the quarter because we're running low on money. But see, that's what we did before. It was $1 billion less than the record, which they did in 2001, and trying to tell us that was good news. By the way, they are going to continue to sell the ultra short-dated securities. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal. People are starting to question exactly what it is. We know what they're trying to accomplish, right? They want the 10-year note to be lower. By the way, it is lower today, 410. Everybody anticipating a very dovish Jay Powell when he comes out for his press conference. We'll get that, obviously. The Gold Show here will be over. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but that's what we anticipate. We anticipate that Jay Powell will be dovish, opening the way for a rate cut in September. But we'll have to see. We did get some housing data out pending. U.S. home sales up a little bit off the low of May, so that was, I guess, good. Unfortunately, sales are down 8% year over year. Housing inventory continuing to rise, and more supply will hit the markets in the coming months. Multiple offers less intense, and buyers in a more favorable position. That was Lawrence Young. He's the head of the real estate people. Boeing had earnings out today. Not good. By the way, they're happy because they named a new CEO. So Boeing is appointed Rockwell Collins' boss. Kelly Oberg is going to be the new CEO. Let's see if he can figure out how they can go back to building planes safely. Boeing burned through a huge amount of cash. They lost $1.4 billion in the quarter, much bigger than what was expected. $1 billion loss tied to fixed price defense contracts and, of course, fewer plane deliveries. Boeing burned through a near record $4.3 billion in cash. That is, by the way, the worst quarters in the aftermath of the 737 crisis. Remember, they grounded all the 737s a few years back. 4.3. Now, if you only said, this is the hard part because it's accounting. You can make numbers look any way you want. You said you lost $1.4 billion. But you burned through $4.3 billion in cash. I don't know. What does that mean? You lost 4.2. If you got $4.3 billion less in cash, right? But hey, who am I? What do I know? We'll see how that goes. Crude oil, we had inventories today. Big drawdowns again. And again, remember, crude has been falling until today. The assassination of the Hamas leader in Iran has the war drums beating again. But the big news was the drop in inventory. Cushing, Oklahoma supplies declined for the fourth straight week in a row. It is now the lowest going back to February. The Biden administration did add 685,000 barrels to the supply, but that's a drop in the bucket. But we'll continue to watch as we see, is the war in Israel going to expand as they assassinated one of the Hamas leaders in Tehran. So they did it in Iran. We'll have to wait and see. But that's that's a lot, right? That's just a couple of minutes. This is the year of chaos, and it's getting crazier by the minute, but we'll wait and see. Again, I think we're going to see a Douglas J. Powell jobless claims tomorrow. Be interesting to see where are we going to get into the 240s, 250,000 plus numbers, and then of course jobs from the government on Friday. We didn't even get to the ADP number. We'll do that when we get back. Stay with us. Patriot Radio News Hour. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Wednesday. The year of chaos continuing. We'll see. Let's hope not. But is the war in Israel getting ready to expand? We'll wait and see as they assassinated the Hamas leader in Iran. Iran is saying they are going to retaliate. I don't know what that means, but we'll wait for it. A quick look in at the markets. The Dow's up 200 points. The S&P's up 90. The NASDAQ's up 400. NVIDIA up 10%. As I told you, the chip move here. The 10-year note, 410. Crude oil's up $2.50, 77 and change. Gold's up again here, 24.23 right now. Silver higher as well, just below $29. The Japanese yen all the way down to 150 today. As I told you about the Japanese economy now, they are raising rates. The central bank there is going to stop buying so many bonds. But, of course, all these bonds are going to be big losers now that they're raising rates. So I don't know how that – well, it doesn't matter, right? It's all paper stuff anyway. Get diversified. Keep telling you. It's not sinking in. It really isn't. And I know because it's hard because, wait, Joe, you just said the NASDAQ's up 400 points. This is exactly the situation when we looked at where Wall Street was during the financial crisis. All-time highs, right? Hitting records. Talking about the economy being too strong or it's strong enough. And within a matter of 30 days, everything changed. Almost overnight. And that's how it works. Unfortunately, it would be nice, right, if it was a little more even, right? If the Dow was 30,000 instead of 40,000, right? You'd be a little more aware. But that's what's coming. That's the part that's coming. This is why I'm telling you to get more diversified, because I don't think it stops at 30. I think it keeps going that way. Check out our friends at Y-Refi. Why wouldn't you do it? If you've got an IRA, you got a lot of money in your IRA, if you got $50,000 or more, you can decide $50,000 is the minimum. You can do more. Get up to 10.25% fixed rates of return. It's not correlated to Wall Street. Such a good idea. Such a good idea. Because did they care about the Japanese yen today? No. Do they care about Jay Powell? Mm-mm. You know what? They don't even care about the president. Kamala, Trump, they don't care. It has no effect on what they do. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-Y-REFI-24. 888-Y-REFI-24. ADP today. This is the private sector. They do. They're a payroll service company, so they've got a formula, and they came out today saying only 122,000 jobs created. This was in the month of July. 122,000. That is well below the 150. They're saying that the big, I guess, gainers here, the service sector, trade, transportation, and utilities was the big winner. Business services, that's your better paying jobs, down 37,000. IT, down 18,000. So we're starting to see some of these bigger layoffs. And then in the leisure hospitality, which is, that usually leads the way, only 24,000 jobs, so very low. That's a low number there. The good news in this, if you want to have good news, wage growth slowing. The labor market, the wage inflation is the lowest that it's been over the last 12 months. And again, you can look at that. Is that positive? Or is that a negative? Right? Because that just tells you, hey, guess what? We're not getting big raises anymore. Our hours are getting cut. ADP saying all of those things were happening. But the big news, though, came out of Europe today. And this is the problem. I just saw a thing, Outback's closing more locations. Man, this is happening so fast. The digital euro, this is coming out of the European Central Bank. The digital euro is coming. They're calling it the most private electronic payment option. The euro will be here's what they, one of the most private. And what does that mean? That they're going to record everything? That I guess it's private till it's not? Right? I mean, I guess they'll know what you're doing, right? But again, the groundwork has been laid. The ECB saying that they're going to be using the digital euro. And really, think about this. According to all the stuff, they were researching it in 2020. Well, that's what they said. They were researching it way before then. Then in 2021, they said that they had an investigative phase. Whatever that means right now. We're investigating it. By November of last year, it had entered what they called the preparation phase. And now they are saying we are beginning to roll it out. They're saying that it will be out by next year. So 2025, we will get the digital euro. How far behind will we be? Not very much. Actually, we're probably a little ahead. Because, we are already using a wholesale, if you will, digital currency. Just a matter of time before it becomes retail. They're saying that the digital euro, 59% of people said they didn't know anything about it. Which, I wonder what that number is here. How many people do you think don't know what's coming? Have no idea? Is it 6 out of 10 in Europe, according to Deutsche Bank? That's what they said. They said, hey, most people don't even know anything about it. And again, what does it mean? And the answer is very simple. They're coming after everything. We had the show on talking about the digital currency. I think, was it Monday we did the show Monday? And is it interesting that today, the day that Japan raises rates, says that they're going to keep raising rates, the same day the Federal Reserve's going to announce, right, and set the table for rate cuts, they kind of release, oh, by the way, hey, guys, we're done investigating, right? We're done researching, and everybody better get ready for the digital euro to come. And the only thing, when I look at this timeline, 2025, I think that just highlights how little time is left. I mean, how much more time do we have before this thing blows up? What are they going to be able to do? And we did that on Monday, right? And you know, if you have a mortgage right now, when we go digital, and again, this is my educated guess on this. Because after the show on Monday, I got a bunch of calls, emails, people asking questions. Because remember, when we go digital, they'll have the ability to have your, let's call it your bank account, have a negative interest rate, right? Because we remember, what do they hate the most? They hate people that don't spend their money, hate it. And then they can set interest rates for auto loans, car loans, housing, commercial loans, whatever they want at a different rate. What about your existing stuff? I don't think that will change. If you're locked in at a 3% mortgage, let's say, I don't see them changing that. In other words, unless you sell it and you got to get a new house or you trade your car in, I think all of those will stay the same. At first, I think they'll probably go like Europe's going. Hey, we're going to start doing this. Nobody really knows what it means. But we'll start unleashing the power of it later. Right? So when it comes in, right, it's always the back door first, which we've already done. Right? They're closing out trades and the banks are using it and all of, you know, behind the scenes stuff. It just hasn't gotten to the consumer yet. And the EBC, the European Central Bank, says they're doing the same thing, right? That's the plan. That's the plan. I think initially that's what we'll see. Hey, we've got a digital thing now. Most people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, nothing. Now, when these banks start closing, when the markets start crashing, then you're going to see changes. You're going to see stores stop taking cash. Stop taking checks. I mean, Target's already said checks are done. And then I think over time, how much time, that's debatable. Is it going to be 3 years, 5 years? I don't know. That's when it will really become a thing. Cash will be phased out because Walmart won't take it, Kroger won't take it. You know, people talk about, well, what about a black market in cash? If you can't put it in the bank, if you can't spend it, it's not worth anything. Right? I mean, think about what it really is. It's a debt. Right? If we got a debt money system, it's just a piece of paper with some printing on it. Its only value is perceived. It's not like it's got gold behind it. Doesn't have anything behind it. Matter of fact, the full faith and trust of the government. We got a $35 trillion deficit, and the Fed the Treasury just announced, hey, by the way, we're going to add 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 trillion more to that before the year's over. Probably be around 37 trillion around Inauguration Day. Probably be 40 trillion by the end of 2025. How much faith and credit do you think the world really has? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, talking about the digital euro, the ECB. I'll get it out. The ECB letting everybody know, hey, we're ready. We're going to start rolling it out. It will be fully implemented in 2025. In the release, when regards to privacy, the claim is the digital euro, this is what they're saying, will be more private than existing card-based payments. Now, I think that's true, right? Because let's face it, if you're using a credit card, right, there's a bunch of hands it goes through. So let's just, as an example, if you go to allamericangold.com, and maybe you're buying, the Trump coin, the Trump fight coins, and you place the order online, and you pay with your credit card. Well, in there's what we call a gateway company, right, that provides the secure, I guess, piece of it. They know about the transaction. Now, I don't see the credit card number. Patriot, we don't get that information. But we know the information you put in there, right? We know who you are, your address, all that stuff. Then, of course, whoever issued the card, whether it's JP Morgan, Credit One, whatever, whoever you got the card from, they know about it. And then, of course, you yourself know about it. And so they're saying, hey, we're going to eliminate all that, right? There is no secured company, right? There's no gateway company. There's no credit card company, right? It's just you and me. Just you and us. We're the only ones that know. Of course, what they don't tell you, and this is the problem, because they're going to, and we do the same thing. Oh, no, yeah, hey, listen, it's going to be more private. Here's the part they don't tell you. At any point, they can just change the rules. See, this is the problem. Remember what we talked about last month when it comes to people with their money market accounts. They just changed the rules. There's nothing you can do about it. The sad part is most of the advisors out there probably didn't even know they changed them. I got to look. I got to ask. Nobody told me. It's not like they sent them a memo. And this is the biggest thing that is going to be, I think, the issue for everybody is their ability now to control, because that's really what they want, right? Because remember, they hate cash. Why do they hate cash? Why do they hate it? Well, because they can't track you. What did you buy? What did you do? The desperate need for taxation. Desperate need. Right? Think about yesterday. Remember yesterday on the JOLTS data? Who's doing all the hiring? Who's putting all the, we want people's government? We know about the IRS. They got to spend $80 billion to hire IRS agents. It's insane. Because they know there's going to be a desperate need. They need to know where all the money is. Why? Why do they need to know? Why do you think they need to know? Right? Because they want to tax it. Sorry. Just what they want. They want you to spend it on what they want you to spend it on. They can put in things that none of us ever thought of before. As an example, we're going to give you money. Because that's always a favorite thing, right? Anytime now that we get into these recessions, these crashes, we just want to give money. By the way, speaking of giving money, finally we get the information way after the fact. You know, the Federal Reserve has lent more money to the banks than they did during the financial crisis right now, in the last 2 years. That's fact. That's okay. We don't need to know. But they can just tell you, hey, here's this money. They can tell you how to spend it. They can tell you, hey, you're not allowed to use this money to pay off credit card debt. You got to spend it. They can put a date on it. What does that mean? Hey, you've got to spend it by such and such a date. And if you don't, it goes away. If you don't, we can tax it. And of course, will they call it a tax? No, they're not that dumb. They won't call it a tax. What will they call it? They'll call it a fee. Oh, it's a fee. You didn't spend it fast enough. Fee. That's what's getting ready to happen. And of course, are they going to say that part? Of course not. Are they going to highlight? Whoa, look how easy it is. Look how fast it is. Look how cheap it is. And look at that. Now you don't have to go through all the hoops. Right? Less people will know. Of course, they'll know. Right? They'll know. But it's the other side of it that is the worrying part. You know, people on fixed incomes. It's going to be tough. Really will be. Be really, really tough. Because it's going to be a situation where you're going to be at the mercy. Because believe me when I tell you, it's going to get much harder for America as far as, think about yesterday. We talked about 18 to 35, or I'm sorry, 25 to 35. 25 to 35. More of them living at home with their parents going all the way back to 1940. And that's a little out of date. That was just going back to 2022. Privacy is not binary. Just remember that. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. $10 Liberties. Yesterday we ran them on sale, $1,295. I'm going to hold that price for as long as I can. Right now, gold, it ran yesterday above 2,400, up again today. Right now, up $13, 24.24. $10 Liberties, $1,295. But I think, don't be surprised after Jay Powell starts talking if gold doesn't start talking, 2450, right? Are we going to talk about all-time highs? Probably back in the conversation again. We'll see what Jay Powell says. But I'll say this. I have the right to up that price if gold continues to go higher today. So $1,295, $10 Liberties. Get them while you can get them because it is really interesting. I'm reading more of this statement from the ECB talking about the government and highlighting that the government could mandate the use of the controlled currency and suppress alternatives, such as a privacy-protecting crypto. Now, right now, they're claiming that that is not the intent. The ECB says that, hey, we're not trying to subvert other payment options. Well, maybe not saying that. You're not trying until you decide you want to do it, right? And remember, why? Why? We're going to have trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars being added to the debt piles of all these countries, ours, Europe's, Japan, right? I mean, it's everywhere. We're printing ridiculous amounts of money. It's ridiculous that we're spending $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion, $3 trillion more than what we're taking in, and it's not stopping. And we're already seeing it as the whole world is trying to figure out what to do. Where do we go? Of course, where are they doing? Buying gold, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. They said that the concerning legal framework, they're dismissing all the risks, saying that, hey, listen, we're going to make sure that there's no abuse in this. Of course, it allows, again, these transactions to happen quickly. But here's the thing. The whole problem here is we're going to cede power to the government with it. I mean, that's just what it is. This is, they're calling it a central bank digital currency. Oh, well, it's a private entity. No, it's the government. We're ceding power, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Here's what we know about government. Right? What do we know about government? Well, every time. I mean, can we think of a time where it didn't happen? Where it always leads to a greater invasion of our freedoms versus a lesser. When's the last time we had something come out that actually gave up some control, right? Gave us freedoms back. When's the last time that happened? I don't even know. Has it ever happened? This is happening, people. And there's nothing. And I say it doesn't matter who wins the presidential election. And people get mad. They get mad. And I've already said, listen, I'm going to vote for Trump again. Right? I don't think he's going to win. But when I say it doesn't matter, it's not about the border, right? It's not about trade, right? It's not about the war, wars, plural. It's not about that. Because they may do, he may do something different than she's going to do. It's not about that. That's not what I mean. Economically, financially, freedom-wise, it doesn't matter. It's just a math problem. I wish it was something more complicated, but it's a math problem. Can't keep going into debt like this without repercussion. And they know that. And this is the solution. This is the solution. Because now they'll see it. They'll have it. And all as they do, you wake up one day and they change the rules. Just like that. Just like that. You wake up the next day, there's another rule change. And another rule change. And this is what's going to come. Because when the crash gets here, it's not like, oh my gosh, the economy crashed and somehow miraculously we go to a digital currency and the debt went away. No. No, my friends. They're coming after you. They're coming after us. And here's just another great example of it. Get your gold put away while you still can. $10 Liberty, $1,295 at 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Patriot News Hour wrapping up this Wednesday. Of course, we're going to get this Fed announcement. I expect Jay Powell to set the table for a rate cut in September. That's the expectation, and I think he's going to deliver on that. We saw the private sector jobs number today continuing to fall, and then wages fall, well, not falling, but wages up the least amount over the last year, and that's a thing they'll like to see, and of course we're going to get jobless claims tomorrow, then the government jobs number, and if we start to see these jobless claims, which they're up, right? 30,000 a week for the last 6 weeks, or is it going to go up again? We've been waiting on that. Seems like there's been a lot of layoff notices, and now these companies shutting down and liquidating. We'll see how that number looks. And then again, if we get a government jobs number that's lower, all of these, perfect storm here. Looking at gold right now, $1,295 on these $10 Liberties. Just so you know, after Jay Powell comes out, if gold's up another $20, $30, $40, $50, I won't be able to hold that price. So right now, $1,295 with the caveat that, hey, I may have to raise them. Again, I'm kind of looking at $2,450 right now. And then, of course, after that, you talk about all-time record highs at 800-951-0592. And a perfect time for the ECB to announce their digital euro plans coming. It's going to be in use in 2025. Talking about, don't worry, guys, it's going to be really private. It's going to be more private, and we're not going to abuse you. Don't worry. Trust us. Trust us. Yeah, we're not gonna have anything spying and this and that. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna impose fees or change the rules of the game. Of course, right up until they have to. And this is I hate to say this, but it's the truth. They have to. There is no choice. I mean, I get it. I get why they're doing it. I get why they're lying about it. Too, I do. I get it. I wouldn't say it either. Why would I come out and tell you the truth? I'm not going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you how great it is. No, this will be better. Better for who? It's not better for us. It's better for them. It's going to be better for them. Privacy will not exist. It just won't. They need to be able to tax everything. Everything. And for the wealthier people, guess what? How much freedom can you afford? Because that's what it's going to come down to. And that's why they need this system. That's why they need to get rid of cash and checks, and they don't need 4,000 banks. Let's just get rid of all of those. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Wrapping it up today. I'm coming right back with the half-empty cup. And hey, guess what? We may have a Jason sighting. We'll talk to you in a few minutes.